Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple, and of course XRP, they finally have a seat at the table. And you are going to want to watch this video all the way through. I've also got a ton of other XRP news and updates packed in here. This is going to be a really great one. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So, Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse has reportedly been appointed as part of the U.S. Crypto Council. Here's what that means and why it matters. Ripple is now actively helping shape U.S. crypto regulations at the highest level. The CFTC just announced a CEO forum, and Ripple has a seat at that table. Here's what this means for Ripple and for XRP. For the last decade, Ripple has been fighting to bring regulatory clarity and real adoption to the crypto industry. First, they built a payments network that is now used by financial institutions all around the world. Then, they took on the SEC, and they won. Now, they are moving into the next phase entirely, and that phase is about shaping the rules of the game themselves. The CFTC CEO Forum is focused on tokenized non-cash collateral, but here is what most people are going to completely miss. This is a gateway, a direct gateway, to integrating XRP into the US financial market. And honestly, that is probably the most bullish sentence I have read in a very long time, outside of simply saying we have a seat at the table. The CFTC's Digital Asset Market Subcommittee is recommending expanded use of non-cash collateral through blockchain technology. And regulatory clarity? That is the key unlock for institutional adoption. Ripple's goal is to position XRP as the foundation of tokenized finance, where trillions of dollars in assets move seamlessly across blockchains and traditional finance alike. And think about this for a second. Why do you think XRP is working so hard to be interoperable with every type of EVM compatibility? And then you've got companies like ARX and Axelar and others coming in to build additional use cases around interoperability right on the XRP ledger. I mean, what else do you need? Ladies and gentlemen, XRP stops being just a payments asset. It becomes the backbone of the entire global tokenization effort. And with that comes a brand new revenue model, one that scales far beyond simple transaction fees and into the multi-trillion-dollar market of tokenized real-world assets. The estimated value of tokenized assets is projected to reach at least $10 to $11 trillion by 2030, with real estate, debt, and investment funds being the top three asset classes leading the way. Now here is my question to you. If all of this gets pushed through over the next 6 to 12 months, and they really start bringing stocks, bonds, and derivatives on-chain, yes, it's going to be slow at first. But we are talking about another 5 years here. Do you honestly think we are not going to have more than $11 trillion on-chain in that time? I personally think that number is a little conservative. Once you truly start tokenizing the stock market and the bond market, once it is actually tokenized, that value is going to start moving on-chain at incredible speeds. It is hard for me to imagine this number sitting at anything less than $30 or even $50 trillion. But hey, nobody has a crystal ball. We will see. This is exactly why Ripple is playing the long game. Winning regulatory battles was just the first step. Now they are writing the next chapter, the one where XRP becomes indispensable to global finance. We are witnessing the real institutional adoption phase begin right now. And if you are here right now, you are early. With the incoming Trump administration, the pace of progress is about to accelerate substantially. Things are moving, and they are moving fast. And Eleanor Terrett does confirm it. The CFTC is planning to hold a CEO forum to discuss the launch of the agency's Digital Asset Markets pilot program for tokenized non-cash collateral, including stablecoins. Circle, Coinbase, Crypto.com, and Ripple all have a seat at the table. The crypto pilot program will explore the notion of expanding the use of non-cash collateral through distributed ledger technology, something that the acting CFTC chair has previously advocated for. So we now have someone bullish at the SEC and someone bullish at the CFTC. We have the Digital Asset Subcommittee. We are moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. What else do you need? Now, I made this video yesterday and it's coming out today, but it does look like there may be some form of integration happening between Swift and XRP. I am going to play the clip and let you decide what you think this is. If you haven't heard of PaymentSafe, PaymentSafe is a payment hub that unifies dealing with all kinds of payment networks, whether domestic, international, and of course Swift as well, to allow an enhanced STP mode across all different payment types. Now, the importance of payment safe here is that it has a critical component, which is a universal translator for the exchange of different payment formats. One of the most important formats is the legacy MT format and the new ISO 2022 format, including CVPR+. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Will we see XRP moving across the SWIFT system? I would genuinely love to hear your opinion on this. Drop it in the comments below. And hey, if you have made it this far in the video, please hit that like button. We are growing at a really nice pace, and it is all thanks to your support. I genuinely appreciate every single one of you. I consider it an honor to be learning and growing alongside you. Thank you so much for your time. I really mean that. Now, another country has backed out of Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. The National Bank of Poland has officially stated that it will not hold Bitcoin in its reserves, under any circumstances. Not "we'll reassess later," not "we'll come back to this." Just no. Period. And my question is, how many other countries are going to step forward and say the same thing? I imagine it is going to be quite a few. But hey, you have got El Salvador, right? Good job, Bitcoin maxes. El Salvador is holding it down. Keep rocking it. Now, this next topic is something I consider to be getting a little out of control. Global debt to GDP. The more these numbers keep climbing and ballooning upward, the more we are being pushed toward a completely different type of financial system. This is what many people believe will ultimately collapse the US financial system and other financial systems around the world. Because you simply cannot keep printing money into infinity without experiencing severe repercussions on the economy. Look at these numbers. The US is sitting at 124%, China is at 85%, Japan a staggering 263%, India at 84%, the United Kingdom at 100%, Brazil at 88%, Canada at 106%, South Korea at 52%, Mexico at 49%, and France is at 108%. Italy is at 136%. The entire world is slipping into this financial chaos. When is it going to change? That is the hard part. Nobody knows. Brian Armstrong recently said, and I am quoting here, "If you think of Coinbase like a bank, we hold about $0.42 trillion in assets, also known as $420 billion for our customers. That would make us the 21st largest bank in the US by assets, and we are still growing." I am not going to read the entire post, but you can pause and read it if you want. Here is my point though. Banks are watching this. Banks understand that digital assets are the future. Not all digital assets, but some of them are absolutely here to stay. Do you think banks are looking at what Coinbase is building and thinking, "Man, I want a piece of that"? Coinbase makes significant money every time someone buys and sells on their platform. They are a brokerage, not just an exchange, so their fees are a little higher. But I do recommend checking out Coinbase One. I believe it is around $25 to $30 a year, and it makes buying, selling, and converting a whole lot cheaper. I didn't even know about it until a friend told me, and I started saving a ton of money. So I wanted to pass that along to you. Matt Hogan recently said, "There is an absolutely massive disconnect between retail and professional sentiment in crypto right now. Retail sentiment is the worst I have seen in years, while professional investors are extraordinarily bullish." Guys, listen to me. You are the retail customer, and right now, you have an incredible opportunity to front-run institutions. Let me show you something. Whales took advantage of the recent dip to buy up $520 million worth of XRP. While retail investors were dumping their XRP, institutional investors, people with serious money, came in and bought up every single coin that was sold. If you are one of the people who sold during that dip, you lost in that situation. I get it. If you timed it perfectly, sold high and bought back lower, that is one thing. But most people do not have that ability. And when you panic sell, you lose. Please keep that in mind. I want to see you win. That is genuinely why I show up here. I have been doing this for over 2.5 years on this channel, and longer than that on YouTube overall. I care deeply about your success. I want you to have the life you deserve. So please, do not make these avoidable mistakes. I have made them myself in the past. Now I said it, forget it, and let the process work. And we will see what happens. SBI has announced XRP as a shareholder benefit once again, a coupon code for receiving 2,000 yen worth of cryptocurrency. Now how much is 2,000 yen in US dollars? About $13. So you are getting roughly 4 XRP. Congratulations, shareholders. Look, in all seriousness, I think this is a good thing. Shareholders are typically people with significant money. If they are receiving free XRP, it may intrigue them to go out and buy more XRP. I have no problem with that strategy at all. And I think other banks and companies may start looking at crypto for these same types of reward programs. We will have to see how that plays out. Yes, banks will become nodes on the Ripple network to access XRP. Ripple intends to use XRP as a bridge currency and as its core pillar for settlement and fund transfers. And here is the beautiful part. Different banks do not need to adopt a unified accounting system. They maintain their own original accounting systems. Banks simply act as nodes on the Ripple network and use cryptographic algorithms for verification. You are going to see a lot of banks and financial market infrastructures running nodes on this network so that they can process their transactions at breakneck speeds. The future of banking is running on the XRP ledger. XRP depository receipts, also known as XRPDRs, will soon be available for purchase by accredited investors through Receipts Depot and DWP advisors. Fox Business has learned that, much like traditional ADRs, which are American depository receipts that represent shares of foreign companies, the XRPDR represents ownership of the underlying XRP without investors having to buy it directly through a crypto exchange. The benefits are similar to those of an ETF. Investors can gain exposure to the asset without needing to go through a crypto exchange directly. In short, it is another powerful way of bridging the gap between traditional finance and decentralized finance. The XRP-DRs will be held by Anchorage, a federally chartered bank overseen by the US OCC. A new banking system is already here, and Ripple with XRP at the core is leading it. The financial landscape has already shifted, yet the mainstream remains almost completely unaware. The greatest wealth transfer in modern history is unfolding right before our eyes. And most people do not even realize it. Ripple and RippleNet are set out to achieve lower costs, faster transactions, more transparency, and greater access. And one of the big questions is, what happens to the traditional correspondent banking model? The role that the banking system plays in the global economy is absolutely crucial, and that will continue. But the traditional model of pre-funding accounts for liquidity, the nostro vostro system, has already been proven unnecessary. And for those who are newer to the crypto space and may not know what nostro vostro means, let me explain it simply. Banks have accounts all over the world, the biggest banks especially. When they are transferring money internationally, say from the US to the UK, they need US dollars on one side and British pounds on the other. If you are sending $1 million US, you need that equivalent in British pounds sitting ready on both sides of the transaction at all times. The highest number I have seen quoted for how much is locked up globally in these types of accounts is $27 trillion. $27 trillion, just sitting there, locked up, doing nothing except facilitating these transfers. This system will not be needed if banks decide to use Ripple and XRP. And what do you think banks will be able to do with that money once it is freed up? They will build out new use cases. They will hire more people. They will offer customers better loans, better terms, better products. Think about smaller community banks. This is a massive amount of capital to have tied up. They could start putting that money back into communities, back into local businesses, and grow economies from the ground up. $27 trillion will fuel the world's economy for quite some time, and I think we are going to start seeing that happen very soon. Latest from SEC headquarters, the acting chairman met with division and office heads to discuss capital formation efforts and how to help American companies succeed. Things are moving at the regulatory level, and that is a very good sign. And yes, out of 5,400 currencies issued on the XRP ledger, XRP remains the most used currency on the network. Guys, over the next few years, you are going to see a massive number of additional currencies created on the XRP ledger. And in my personal opinion, XRP will serve as the bridge for the entire world's financial system. So here is my final question to you. What are you going to do if XRP truly becomes the biggest financial tool used in the world? What does your life look like? What are your dreams? I would genuinely love to know. Drop it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got real value out of this video. If you did, please hit that like button. It helps this channel grow, and it means the world to me. I will see you in the next one.